They never wanted you to know this. Not your school, not your job, not even your family. Because if you knew this, truly understood it, you would become untouchable. This isn't a secret hidden in books. It's hidden in plain sight, buried inside. The pages of a century-old manuscript called Think and Grow Rich. But let me make one thing clear. Napoleon Hill didn't just write a book about money. He created a blueprint for domination, a formula that, when followed with fire and precision, reshapes your life from the inside out. And the reason most people fail? They skim it. Memorize quotes. Maybe even post a few on Instagram, but they never become it. This video is not for spectators. It's for those who are done waiting, done hoping. It's done drifting. So if you're ready to take the wheel back from mediocrity, to learn the formula that builds empires, then lock in, because this is the truth they never wanted you to hear. You were born rich, not in your bank account, but in potential, in the energy, clarity, hunger, and innocence you carried, but they trained it out of you. From day one, they fed you limits. They said, be realistic. They said, don't ask for too much. They said, fit in. And over time, you believed them. You learned that safety was smarter than risk, that failure was something to avoid, not something to grow from, that wanting too much made you greedy, and so you settled. You adjusted. You silenced the voice. Inside you screaming for more, Napoleon Hill called this the hypnosis of fear. Fear of criticism. Fear of poverty. Fear of losing love. Fear of old age. Fear of death. Fear of what they might think. And these fears, they don't show up as monsters. They show up as small decisions. As hesitation, as compromise. They show up every time. You say, maybe next year? What will they say if I fail? Who am I to do this? But here's the brutal truth. Every excuse is just fear wearing a mask. You weren't born hesitant. You were trained to hesitate. You weren't born afraid. You were programmed to shrink. And the worst part? They convinced you it was your idea. That the mediocre job, the average ambition, the dull routine, that it was your choice. But deep down, you know better. You feel the fire you buried. You remember the version of yourself before the programming kicked in. And that's where we start. Not with motivation, but with war. A war on fear. A war on the identity you were sold. Because before you can get anything you want before the formula works, you must destroy the lie that you're powerless. You must reclaim your hunger. Because the truth is this. The system doesn't fear your resume. It fears your desire, your ability to want. Something so intensely that no fear, no voice, no setback can stop you. This is where power begins, with the death of the lie and the rebirth of hunger. And once you get that hunger back, once you remember who you are, then you're ready to move to part 2, the burning desire they tried to extinguish. They told you desire was dangerous, that wanting more made you selfish, that ambition was arrogance, that big dreams belonged only to the lucky, the gifted, the chosen. But Napoleon Hill said it differently. He said desire, not talent. Not luck is the starting point of all achievement. Not passive wishing, not casual interest, but a burning, white-hot obsessive desire that consumes. Every excuse, every doubt, every obstacle in its path. He called it definiteness of purpose, a clear, unshakable aim backed by desire so strong it bends reality. But ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you wanted something that badly? Not hoped, not thought it would be nice, but craved it like your lungs crave air when you're drowning. Because if you don't want it like that, you'll never fight for it like that. They tried to tame you by smothering that desire, by distracting you with comfort, by making you feel guilty for wanting more. They said, be grateful. And yes, be grateful. But don't you dare confuse gratitude with surrender. You can love what you have and still burn for what you know you're meant to become. Desire is not your enemy. It is the engine of creation. It is the proof that something greater is calling you. And when you lock that desire to a definite purpose, a clear target, the universe shifts. People call it magic. Hill called it faith. But what it really is alignment. The moment you stop apologizing for wanting more and start moving like it's already yours, you stop waiting for permission. You command reality. You start waking up with fire. You stop scrolling and start building. You stop talking and start executing. Your life begins to orbit around your mission, and everything else, the noise, the doubt, the fear, burns in the fire of your intent. That's the power of desire. It turns invisible thoughts into visible empires, but only when it's backed by action. So if you're ready, if you've reignited that hunger they taught you, that faith is something you do on Sundays, something whispered in prayers, carved into stained glass, buried in rituals. But that's not the kind of faith Napoleon Hill is talking about. Not even close. Because the faith that builds empires doesn't live in churches. It lives in your nervous system. It lives in your habits. It lives in your voice. When no one's listening, and you say, I will have it, no matter what. Hill said, faith is belief, made real through repetition. Not just belief in some higher power, but belief in you, your ability to shape reality, to bend the world to match your inner vision. You see, everyone has faith. Some have faith in success. Most have faith in failure. They expect things to go wrong. They assume they'll stay broke. They believe deep down that nothing ever works out for them. And so it doesn't. Not because of fate, but because of faith in the wrong direction. Faith isn't a feeling. It's not goosebumps or inspiration. Faith is a decision. It's reinforced every day by what you say, what you think, and what you do. You can't say, I believe. While living like you don't, you can't affirm abundance. While moving in fear, the subconscious isn't fooled by your words. It believes your patterns. Hill taught that faith can be installed, not hoped for, trained. How? With autosuggestion. The act of speaking your purpose aloud every single day, not once, when you feel like it. Every single day. Because repetition is what programs the mind. It's how you rewire the circuits that were programmed for fear. It's how you overwrite the script of powerlessness with a new identity. When you wake up and say, I am the kind of person who creates wealth. I attract opportunities. I move with purpose and power. Asterisk, and you do it again and again. Eventually your subconscious starts believing it, and when the deepest part of you believes something, the world follows. That's faith. Not passive. Not fluffy, active, fierce, relentless. It's not about seeing the whole staircase. It's about taking the next step with certainty. Even when it's dark, and when you move with that kind of faith, doors appear where there were only walls. People show up you never expected. Paths open you never saw before, but the price is repetition. The cost is discipline. If you're not feeding faith daily, you're feeding fear. There is no neutral state. One will rise, one will rot. So now the question is, what are you repeating? Because your words become your world, and your daily declarations are either creating a king or reinforcing a prisoner. Now that you understand what faith really is, it's time to anchor that belief with motion. There's a silent killer in your life. It doesn't wear a mask. It doesn't announce itself. It slips in quietly and robs you of everything. Its name is indecision, Napoleon Hill said. Successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Successful people make decisions slowly and change them often, if at all. Decision is power and in stand. Motion, it tells your subconscious, this is who I am now. It draws a line in the sand and dares the world to move. But what do most people do? They wait, they pause, they overthink. And while they wait, their dreams rot. Indecision isn't neutrality, it's self-sabotage, dressed up as caution. It's the lie you tell yourself to feel safe. But safety doesn't build empires. Fire does. Wealthy man Hill studied had one thing in common. They moved, even when they weren't sure, even when the plan wasn't perfect, even when fear whispered, not yet. Because action, even imperfect action, sends a signal to life. I'm ready. The man who hesitates over money never holds much of it. Because money, like opportunity, is drawn to clarity and repelled by confusion. Let me put it plainly, if you can't decide, you can't lead. And if you can't lead, no one and nothing will follow you. Not people, not partners, not wealth. The most dangerous man in the world is not the strongest, not the loudest, but the one who decides and refuses to back down. When you declare a course and act on it daily, you awaken a force that most people never access. You become magnetic. Because now, you're not just a man with a dream, you're a man with direction. And people feel that. Opportunities feel that. So what's stopping you? What decisions are you still postponing? The move, the conversation, the commitment? Whatever it is, it's costing you more than you think. Because every day you delay is a day the old identity survives. And the longer he stays alive, the longer the new version of you stays buried. This is not about rushing. It's about resolving. It's about saying, I choose. I act. I adapt. But I do not wait. Because wealth moves at the speed of decision, and indecision is poverty, not just of money, but of identity. You must choose yourself daily, boldly, permanently, and once you do, you unlock the next piece of Hill's forbidden formula. Here's a brutal truth most people never accept. You're not losing because you're unworthy. You're losing because you quit too soon, Napoleon Hill said. Persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. You can have the vision. You can have the desire. You can have the plan, the passion, the potential. But if you don't stay in the fight, none of it matters. This is the test life gives every man who dares to rise. How bad do you really want it? Not how bad you say you want it, how bad you prove it. Because here's what they don't tell you. The universe does not deliver on your first request. It doesn't hand over the crown. Just because you ask for it, it tests, it delays, it sends storms. Not to break you, but to see what version of you shows up when the fantasy wears off. And most men, they back down. They think failure means it wasn't meant to be. They take one no as final. They confuse discomfort with a sign to stop, but not the persistent. Man, the persistent man adjusts. He sharpens. He charges again. When plan A dies, he births plan B. When the world says no, he says, watch me, because he understands that obstacles are not the enemy. They are initiation rites for power, Hill wrote of men, who pushed forward long after their energy ran out, long after the applause stopped, long after the odds turned against them. And do you know what? They found breakthrough not in month one, not in year one, but in the moment after most people would have quit. Persistence doesn't just build empires. It builds you into someone who can hold one. Because what good is a throne if you don't have the discipline to sit on it? What good is success if you fold under pressure? Persistence trains your nervous system to stay strong while others panic, to think clearly when others doubt, to move forward when the path disappears. It is not something you're born with. It's something you build. With daily effort, with hourly focus, with moment by moment. Recommitment. This is the part where your identity is forged, not in the wins, but in the delays, not in the certainty, but in the silence. Because when no one is clapping, when nothing is working, when every voice says quit and you keep going, that's when life takes you seriously. That's when the tide begins to turn. So say this aloud: I persist. I do not stop. I do not ask for easy. I become stronger. Let these words become your spine, because the next part of the formula is dangerous, rare, misunderstood by most. You've been lied to again. They told you success is a solo game, that greatness is about grinding in silence, that the strong do it alone. But Napoleon Hill uncovered a truth far more powerful. No mind is complete by itself. It needs contact and association with other minds to grow and expand. This is the principle of the mastermind. Two or more minds working in harmony toward a definite purpose create a third. Invisible force, a mind greater than any one person alone. This is not theory, it's law. You will never rise higher than the standard of minds around you. If you're surrounded by people who settle, you will settle. If you seek advice from doubters, you will hesitate. If your circle mocks your vision, you will shrink to survive. But when your environment burns with belief, when the voices around you demand more, when you are held to the identity you say you want, everything changes. You think clearer. You act faster. You stop negotiating with your limits, eh?
Yes.
Mastermind is not a support group. It's not a networking event. It's a battleground of belief. It is where your excuses die, where your weaknesses are exposed and strengthened, where your vision is protected, fueled, and demanded. Hill wrote that every man of wealth had allies, trusted minds, who shared the mission, challenged the thinking, and refused to let him drift. This is the truth. Success is never created in isolation. It is always birthed through alignment. So ask yourself, who do you speak to daily? Do they challenge your limits or reinforce them? Do they remind you of your power or your problems? Look around, because your circle is your future and preview. If you want to rise, you must surround yourself with minds that won't let you stay small. Your mastermind must believe what you believe. Even before results come, they must see who you're becoming and refuse to let you forget it. Because here's the most dangerous thing about being alone. You can justify anything. In isolation, you can talk yourself out of action. You can disguise your fear as logic, and no one will stop you. But a true mastermind will. They'll say, that's not who you are. That's not your standard. We rise today, not tomorrow. You don't need many. You just need the right few. So today, write down the names, audit your circle, cut the dead weight, and form your alliance built on purpose. Power and fire. Because now, with the right minds beside you, you're ready for the most dangerous shift of all. Here's the truth that most self-help books won't tell you. Asterisk, you will never rise above your self-image. You can repeat affirmations. You can build the vision board. You can even grind for a few weeks with raw motivation. But if, deep down, you still see yourself as average, as trying, as someone who wants success rather than owns it, you will sabotage everything. Napoleon Hill understood this. He didn't just write about doing, he wrote about becoming. Because success isn't something you chase, it's something you attract by the person you become. Let me say that again. Success is something you attract by the person you become. So the question is no longer, what do I want? The real question is, who do I need to become to hold it? You don't attract wealth by needing it. You attract wealth by becoming the kind of man it obeys. That means thinking like a wealthy man, even when you're broke. Walking with purpose, even when no one believes in you. Holding standards that scare. Your old self. Moving in discipline when motivation disappears. Speaking with conviction when everyone else doubts. This isn't delusion, it's identity design. And the best part, your brain can't tell the difference between who you are and who you repeatedly declare yourself to be. That's why Hill insisted on autosuggestion. The act of feeding your subconscious the identity you want till it becomes your reality. Because identity isn't fixed, it's not a sentence, it's a story. You are the one writing it. But here's where most people go wrong. They try to do big things. With a small self-image, they try to build empires. While still seeing themselves as imposters, it doesn't work. Because if you see yourself as trying to be successful, you will always find ways to sabotage success when it gets close. The moment your external life exceeds your internal belief, you'll unconsciously pull yourself back down. That's why this part of the concealed formula is everything. You must upgrade your identity first, then take action from that new identity, then build habits that reflect that identity, Then align your speech, your posture, your circle, until success feels inevitable. It's not impossible, and this is not a one-time shift. It's a daily practice. Each morning, look in the mirror and say out loud, I am the man success is drawn to. I move with power. I lead with vision. I attract wealth by nature. I am not trying. I am becoming. Let this be your declaration, your compass, your code. Because until you become the man who can hold success, you will always lose it. But once the shift is made, once the new identity locks in, everything changes. The plan makes more sense. Delays don't shake you. The doubts don't stick, because you're no longer chasing success. You've become the man it cannot ignore. And now, with that identity in place, there's only one thing left to do. Unleash it into action. Let's move to the final transformation. This is the part where most people vanish. They read the books, they attend the seminars, they get the motivation. And then, asterisk, they do nothing. Why? Because the world taught them to seek highs, not habits, to worship inspiration and ignore repetition. But Napoleon Hill didn't create a hype machine. He created a system, and that system only works when executed ruthlessly, relentlessly, and daily. Let me be clear, wealth is not created in the occasional bursts. Wealth is born in the daily rhythm. Not flashy, not exciting, just unbreakable. And this is where you must now live. In execution mode. Let me show you how. 1. Your daily command. Ritual auto-suggestion every morning and every night. You speak your purpose out loud, your definite chief aim, with emotion, with belief, as if your life depends on it, because it does. This isn't positive thinking, it's neurological warfare. You are reprogramming your subconscious to accept wealth as normal. And when the subconscious accepts something as normal, it makes it real. So write your statement, read it daily, burn it into your mind until it burns into your actions too. Your morning. Alignment hour. Before the world speaks to you, you speak to yourself. Read your purpose, visualize, your goal review, your plan write, your next move feel. The win before the day starts. This is not a suggestion. Hey, it's a discipline. The man who touches his phone before his soul is already poor in spirit. Anchor your mornings in mission, and your days will follow. 3. Focused execution windows you don't need. 16-hour days. You need 3 hours of lethal focus. No notifications, no multitasking, no productive procrastination. Just you, your plan in motion. Choose the one move that moves the needle, then attack it. Every single day. This is how wealth builds. One focus block at a time. Point 4. Evening review plus reset at night. Don't just collapse into sleep. Close the loop. Ask, what did I win today? But where did I drift? What will I improve tomorrow? What am I grateful for? Then, speak your purpose again before sleeping. Because the thoughts you feed your mind at night become the software it runs while you sleep. Fall asleep as a man on a mission, and you'll rise with fire. 5. Weekly. Mastermind success doesn't thrive in isolation. Every week, meet with your mastermind, even if it's just one other fire-breathing soul. Share your wins. Expose your excuses. Lock in new goals. Demand truth. It's no softness. This rhythm is your protection. It keeps your mind sharp, your mission sacred, and your identity evolving. Now listen to me. If you do this not once, not twice, but daily, we'll build something unshakable. You will not need motivation. You will become momentum. You will not beg for money. Money will move toward you. You will not drift. You will command. Because once your habits align with your purpose, wealth becomes inevitable. Not luck. Not magic. Just pure law. You don't need another book. You don't need a new system. You don't need a mentor to bless you. You need one thing. To begin, say this out loud now. I don't hope anymore. I execute. I don't try. I become. I don't beg. Let that be the beginning of your new rhythm, because the world isn't waiting. Your destiny isn't patient, and your purpose isn't supposed to be a hobby. You were not born to blend in. You were not born to bow down to fear, delay, doubt, or mediocrity. You were born to attract greatness by becoming great. And now you know how? This is the new standard. And this time, you don't fall off. You don't forget. You follow it till your life becomes the proof. Now go become the man who attracts success.